Hi, Awesomes. Welcome back to Sorta Awesome. I'm your host, Meg Teets, and I am so happy to be joined today by my longtime bestie and current social media director for Sorta Awesome, Kathryn Kaplinger. Hi, Kathryn. Welcome to Sorta
Hi.
Awesome.
I'm so excited to be here.
People who follow the show on Instagram already know you quite well, but this is your first time to be on the main show, Sorta Awesome. You've been over in the Superstars feed. We've had some fun over there, and you've been in our like sort of all team shows.
Yes.
But this is your debut
Woo.
on the big show. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm sweating.
Okay. Well, Kathryn is here because today I will be in the hot seat. Once again, every now and again, I get real brave and I'm like, yeah, let's do some questions. And then every single time I remember, oh, this is actually straight up nightmare fuel for me. Like, I feel like I may as well take off my clothes and have a presentation to give in high school because I'm having an anxiety dream. Because you guys, I have no idea what questions Kathryn is going to ask. I have not a clue
No, she
what will be
doesn't.
asked today. So before we get into the show, just so people have a little context of who you are, why don't you tell the awesomes, like, we know your name, but tell us the context of your life right now, where you live, who you live with, what you do, those kinds of things.
Now I'm in the hot seat.
Yeah. Haha. See, I put you here
I
first before me.
So I live in Oklahoma City, like just minutes away from Meg, which is awesome. And I'm married to my husband of 21 years.
Yes.
And I just thought, I was like, is that right? Yes, it's 21 years. And I have two teenagers, a boy and a girl, and my son is going to be a junior, and my daughter just got into the high school where he is, and she's going to be a dance major, and she will be a freshman. So we're super excited, and it's a
Yes.
whole new world. I feel like being a parent of teens, it's just, I'm learning so much. So
I feel like my oldest kids, well, definitely Daisy's a little bit older than your kids. And so we, like I'm a little bit further ahead in that sense, but also your sister lives down the street from you. And she definitely has been like big sister for both of us in terms of telling us what we need to
yes.
know and what to do. And lots of things when it comes to parenting teens and also just like the logistics of parenting teens, which I don't think we talk about enough, is a lot to keep up with.
I mean, that could be a whole show in itself.
Honestly. So yes, that's what we're here to do today. We're going to have a conversation with my best friend. This was all Kathryn's idea to have these questions. You sent me a message on Voxer, one of the main ways we communicate, and you're like, I have an idea. What would you think about this? And I was like, yes, I am nervously saying yes.
Yep. I have 2 pages of questions for you.
Oh my Lord.
And I
Okay.
sat down and wrote them in like seconds.
Okay. Whoa.
Now, I will preface that if you are not a superstar, you're going to want to be, because we're going to have some more intimate questions for her over on Patreon.
Intimate. I'm scared. I'm so scared. Okay. All right. Well, we will be getting to those 10 questions, and I'm sure lots of, why do I feel cringy? Kathryn, either put my mind at ease or tell me yes.
Me.
I do trust you. You're like the only person I would trust in you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get to those 10 questions and lots more fun today on Sorta Awesome. Welcome back, Awesomes, to the show that loves to support you in becoming smart, strong, and social. If you've been looking for amazing women to connect with and a community that will support you no matter what age or stage of life you're in, I'm really happy to tell you that you've come to the right place, because Sorta Awesome is not just a podcast. It's also your community on the go. We would love to have you connect with us outside of your podcast app. Wherever you're listening right now, go outside of the app. Come join us in one of our communities on social media. You can find us any time of the day or night on Facebook in the Sorta Awesome Hangout. Just go over to Facebook, search Sorta Awesome Hangout. You'll find us over there. I already mentioned our Instagram. Kathryn does an amazing job of keeping the content just flowing over there to bring awesome to your feed on Instagram at Sorta Awesome Show. And I guess I need to mention, this isn't a social media thing, but I have totally forgotten to say this on the main Sorta Awesome show, but I have really revamped the old Sorta Awesome newsletter. I started ages ago. I used to send it out regularly in the early days of Sorta Awesome, but it had kind of gotten neglected. It had fallen by the wayside. We have talked about it on social media, but I need to say it to all of the awesomes. The Sorta Awesome newsletter is now called So Awesome Sunday. It comes out every other week on Sunday evening. And basically, my idea with So Awesome Sunday was to just get you something in your email inbox that's going to give you an awesome start to the week. So, yes, it's kind of a recap of some things we've got going on in Sorta Awesome. Kathryn, one thing I'm doing is putting in links from community conversations, either on Instagram or Facebook, into the newsletter. And you even mentioned like the last edition of the newsletter that came out, you're like, I didn't even see that thread, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing about the Hangout group. It moves so quickly. There are so many posts, so many questions asked, so many fantastic conversations. It's hard for anybody to keep up with it. So I kind of wanted to give like a community recap in the newsletter. And there's also links to go read things other places, find a recipe, listen to this album. It's really just meant to be like Sundays need to take back the awesome, especially Sunday night as you're staring down a new week. Let's start it off awesome and let's start it off together. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes for So Awesome Sunday. The next edition is coming out this Sunday, May 7th, as you're listening. So go and check it out. I will even put a link in the show notes for the last edition of So Awesome Sunday, so you can just kind of skim it and see if it's for you or if it's not. So, Kathryn, it was so funny because we were talking about it in the Hangout group, and one of our awesomes was like, did I miss something? Like, how, when did this even start? I'm in the Hangout. I'm paying attention to things, but I missed that we have a newsletter now. So that's my fault. That's on me. I forgot.
I love it. This last one was so good. I really liked it a lot.
Thank you. These take a lot of time to put together, but I feel so energized when I get it sent out because it's so fun to find all of this stuff for the awesomes. So
it's kind of like the cliff notes for Sorta Awesome of what all happened in the last 2 weeks.
It really is. It has a lot of recap of what's going on with the podcast, with the community, those types of things. But I do like to sprinkle in some stuff that's happening outside of the universe of Sorta Awesome. That's stuff that you don't want to miss. So I try to make it a good blend of both. So I hope you guys will check it out. Let's see. Okay, so we do have these questions that Kathryn has composed to ask me, and so that I can kind of get my nerves in check, let's go ahead and start this show the way we always do with our awesomes of the week. If you're new to Awesome of the Week is the moment in the show where we stop and talk about just whatever's making life a little more awesome right now, whether it's a book or a TV show, a movie, podcast, a product, an app, a recipe, anything that's bringing that gold sparkle to our days. Kathryn, for your inaugural, very first Awesome of the Week, my friend, what have you brought to the show?
Well, actually, I feel like I get to bring Awesome of the Weeks through IG. Like, I find recipes and I love them, and I'm like, I've got to share. So also, if you all have something that you're loving the most, like you like the recipes or the gift guides or whatever we're bringing, let us know. Or if there's more ideas of stuff that you like, let us know, because
for sure
you can message me, DM me on Instagram through Sorta Awesome, and I want to bring you that. So,
yes.
Okay, I actually have 2 because I'm extra.
Okay.
These are 2 gifts that I was given. One of them's weird. One of them is just life-changing. I love it. Maybe I'm late to the game. And I brought my props to show you. So if you are listening
I love a
or
prop.
watching on YouTube, you get to see the props.
Yes.
Which we want to bring you guys all over to YouTube to watch it, because it's really fun to see it on YouTube. But
yeah,
if you ever use Scentsy products where it had like waxes that melted and you had these different smells in your house, it's kind of like that, except it is just see, I brought my little thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I really did. It's a little lamp And it's a candle warmer is what it's called. And
Okay.
I purchase the, of course, Trader Joe's candles.
Of course. Yes.
And you just, my husband set it where it's on a timer. And so
Okay.
at a certain time during the day, it comes on. It doesn't matter if you're gone. It doesn't
What?
matter if you're home, because it's not like you have a lit candle. And see how,
Yes.
like, it doesn't even have the wick. And you set it under there, and then he has it on a timer. So then it turns off about 10 o'clock at night. And it just,
Okay.
I don't even have to think about it. And it just smells up my whole house. And I
So
brought
it's
another candle to show you that it
Okay.
fits bigger
Oh,
candles too.
yes. Okay, so the
So-
Trader Joe's candles they're in the little tins. Those
Right.
are pretty compact, but you even put a big one under there. So it's a candle warming lamp essentially, right?
Yes.
Like it turns on a light bulb? Is
It's a
that
light
what's going
bulb
on?
under there.
Okay.
Yes. And then it just melts it, and you don't have to worry about, even I've touched the wax before. It's not even too hot. If your kids stick their hand in it, they're not going to burn themselves.
You tried it
And I
out
don't
just to make
have-
sure.
Yes. I'm like, I have to know if I'm, going to be showing this. But there's different styles. There's glass lamps that are really pretty too.
Okay.
I will show you some links on Amazon, because I'm going to show the glass ones that are really pretty.
Okay.
And they have like black and different colors. And
Yeah.
this is so wonderful. And I'm telling you, what are these, like $3.99 or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
$6.99. I don't know. Something that's super cheap.
Under $10 for sure for the Trader Joe's candles. Yes.
This thing lasts forever because it just melts, and then the next day it melts a little bit more.
It's not actually burning.
Yes.
That would be so smart if you had a really bougie, high-priced candle that you wanted to make last and last. That would be such a great way to do it.
I have used this forever, and look, it doesn't even look like I've used it. I've used this for days and days, weeks. But the thing is that I get the ones that are like the soy based or whatever. Yeah. So it's not putting, like artificial fragrances in the air and stuff. I don't know. I just really like it. So that is my first awesome of the week.
I feel like, did you come across those on TikTok perchance? I feel like I've seen those on TikTok.
No, I didn't.
Gen Z's real big into a candle warmer. AJ actually got out one of my old wax tart warmers, and she was like, do you use this? Can I have it? And I was like, I haven't used it in months. So yeah, here. And I gave her all my wax tarts, and while she does her schoolwork, she's been burning a little wax tart to have a little scent. But I love that. And I love the timer part because, Kathryn, as you know, we have 3 dogs. And as the weather heats up and they go outside and play, they come in and they smell all doggy.
Yes.
And all of their beds and stuff are downstairs. And so I do not like to come into a house that smells like like puppies have been playing outside. So I'm loving that you could set it. You could even set it to go off like early in the morning before people get up. So when you come into your, like the main part of your house, for us, when we come downstairs, it could be like, it smells so nice already.
Yes. And I just don't worry about it. Like, it just comes on and it turns off, and nothing happens that I have to like worry or take care of it. And I'm telling you right now, I want things I don't have to take care of. So
yes, for sure. For sure. Okay. So that was your awesome of the week. But then you said you have a weird one. I have a feeling that was not the weird one.
That was not the weird one. But now, to be totally disclosed on everything, I did tell Meg about my awesomes of the week, because I was like, is this too weird? Because it's kind of weird. So I
said, we love weird.
I know. And so the reason why I have 2 things that are like gifts that were given to me is because it was my birthday at the end of March. So that's why I have like new awesomes of the week.
Yes.
Because
freshly awesome.
Yes. But I've had a month to try them out. So,
Yeah.
I've actually had the candle warmer longer. I take that back. That was not for my birthday. That was with Christmas money.
Okay.
In January, February or something. So my other one is, I asked my mom to give me this for my birthday, and she got mad at me. She was like, that is the dumbest gift. She's like, I am like a practical person. I love things that when I get it, I put it to work. Like, it does something in my home for me. And she wants to get me like a lot of little things that are like fluff stuff. And I'm like, I'd rather you spend the money and get something like I truly need.
Super
okay.
practical. Yes.
And this is interesting, but I love it. It is.
This looks like space age.
I can't even talk about it. Okay. I wear a mouthpiece every night.
Okay.
Which is for snoring, for grinding.
TMJ stuff.
I have a lot of issues. And so I have a mouthpiece. And what this does, so what I like this, I brought all my props. What they give you at my oral, whatever it's called, the TMJ clinic, they give you this. And so I would stick my mouthpiece. I'm sorry if this is gross, but I would just stick it in there.
Yeah.
With water. And then I had these little denture tablets that you would stick in there and it would clean it. Okay.
Okay.
But it would clean it. Like it would just sit in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is you fill it. There's a line. You fill it up to the water line and you close it. You put your little
whatever your
dentures.
Whatever your mouthpiece is.
Your mouth tool. This, I think you can use it for Invisalign too.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I'm pretty sure. But you can also, and I've used it for this, use it for your toothbrush heads. If you have electronic toothbrushes, you can stick them in there. And so I just stuck it, like half of it was sticking out, you know, like the toothbrush. Yeah. But every once in a while, before I have to change out my toothbrush, I will clean it. So it just uses the water. It vibrates. It's like the sonic vibrations that cleans it. And then it's got a little light that turns on. That's the ultraviolet light or whatever that also cleans it. And you pull it out and what is left is kind of gross and it really cleans it. Now, if you want to, you can also add one of the little denture cleaners.
Okay. Little tablet.
And to even get it extra clean. Now, I don't do that every time because it is cleaning it with the light and the vibrating. Then, you know, every few times then I use the little denture tablet too, but you don't have to. That's the magic of it is you only have to use water. And sorry, it's even kind of like gross up here, but
that's okay. No,
I had to bring it to show you and I just loved it. I love like to know that my toothbrush is sanitized.
Yeah.
That when I'm putting the mouth appliance in my mouth at night, it's sanitized.
Right.
And so what I do is I run it. It runs for a few minutes. And then before I get in the shower, it's done. And then I just pour out the old water, rinse out my mouthpiece, stick it in there. And then by night it's dried out and ready to wear again.
Okay.
So that was my weird awesome of the week.
I wouldn't say it's weird. It's a little niche. It's like for a very specific thing.
But I know a lot of people that have mouth appliances. Like you wouldn't think that people do, but I mean, between Invisalign and just different things, there are a lot of people that have mouthpieces. It's not just me and my dentures. They're not dentures, but that's what I feel like it is. But it's not just, and if you have dentures, okay, this would be like a great Mother's Day gift. If
honestly,
someone has
literally,
dentures or something.
Yes.
But anyway, so it was a different kind of awesome of the week, but it truly has changed my life. And I tell my mom, you don't understand. I love this gift. And she's, I still think that's so weird, but okay, if you love it. I was like, I do. I'm the same person that got a cordless vacuum from my sister for my birthday, and I like almost cry. I'm so happy about it every time I use it. So
you love a practical gift for sure.
I do.
Okay, we'll have links for both of Kathryn's Awesomes of the Week. You got a double hitter this week, you guys, from Kathryn on the Awesome of the Week.
Well, it's my first time. I had to do more than one. I'm excited, okay?
Awesome of the Week for me this week is one of the few times that something that an awesome created herself ended up being my Awesome of the Week. Now, plenty of times, we talk about this all the time on Sorta Awesome, that those of us that are on the Sorta Awesome team will definitely bring new awesome into our lives based on things that people share in the Awesome of the Week thread on Fridays and social media. But this time, it is an awesome created thing. I'm going to tell you that Superstar Awesome Heather just popped into the Hangout last month with this amazing thing and just low key was posting about it. Here's what she said in the Hangout. Does anyone want a life skills summer list for their tweens? She said, I hyper focused for the last 24 hours on this project so my 11 and 12-year-olds can work on real world things during school break. She said, I didn't come up with the idea on my own. She kind of picked what she liked from 15 to 20 different sources. She put links in it. She found links from old posts in the Sorta Awesome community. And she was just like, I made this weird little project and I thought you guys might like it too. Kathryn, I opened the link that she shared for absolute free in the Hangout. And I was like, oh my gosh, this checklist is beauty. It is art. It is like everything I've been wanting to figure out. How do we teach our kids how to do life stuff? You and I have talked about this plenty of times, like
Yes.
even things like, how do you teach your kid, like how do you go up to a fast food counter and like order for yourself, right?
We do talk about this, yes.
It's so very awesome. Heather has put together a list and I'm going to put a link in the show notes. You guys can go look at it. It is so great. Let me read you guys some of the things she put on there.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's so great. She has some kind of big picture things. Leave a place better than you found it. That my kids could learn that. Oh my. And it's for tweens, but I'm telling you, older teens could use this, even like older elementary age, not quite to the tween years yet, but if they're kind of older, they're more mature, they could use it. Young adults could use it. There's things on here that I'm like, oh, maybe I need to learn how to do this. But so she has kind of like big picture things like that. Then she has really practical things like cancel a subscription after the free trial ends, which Kathryn, I know is something you're really big about. How to bathe a dog, how to change a light bulb safely, how to open a tube of biscuits or cinnamon rolls that pop open. Hello. We all need to know how to do that. I remember, and I think this is why you and I talked about it. Our parents are boomers for sure, like absolute boomer generation. So we were left to our own devices. We were left to learn and figure things out a lot for ourselves. And yet we tend to do a lot of things for our kids. So I was popping open those biscuit cans for sure by the time I was like 10 or 11 years old. Sure. Maybe younger. I don't know if my kids would have any idea what to do with a can of biscuit dough. So, and then
awesome.
the list just goes on. And for a lot of them, if you need like an outside resource, like one of the ones that she put on the list, which I thought was so good, was like how to learn how to disagree respectfully. And since that's kind of like how do you teach someone how to do that? She has a link for that. There's a ton of them that have links that you can go watch yourself or even send your kids to. Just send your kid the link and be like, here, watch this. How to reset a tripped breaker, which I technically know how to do, but I will confess that if there's a breaker in this house that's tripped and needs to be reset, I definitely ask Kyle to do it because I'm afraid I'll shock myself or blow up the house, one of the two.
I don't think those happen, but okay.
Yeah, I know. That's probably not in the realm of possibility, but I'm always scared to reset them myself. And she's got like a little YouTube link where you can this is how you do it. So again, this list is so awesome. I keep coming back to it. I am definitely going to be implementing it for my older 4 as we move into thinking about the summer months, little projects for them to learn just these life skills that you need to know how to do.
I mean, especially for Daisy, because you're like literally sending her out into the world. She's going to have that biscuit can and she's, what do I do? But then she'll know because you taught her this summer.
Exactly. So awesome. Heather has got us covered on this, you guys. So I will put a link in the show notes and you guys can send all of your love and thank yous to Heather as you are grabbing this list. Again, it's just it's a PDF in Google that you can download and work through with your own kids. So,
and can I just say one thing that I would like to add to Heather's list that we have been working on the last few weeks as teenagers? This is something I would not have done as a teenager, but didn't know it was a thing. But my kids think that if they are just like done with someone, that you just ghost them. I think I told you this.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And that ghosting is not an option. It's called communication, and you communicate with people. But the thing that teens do these days are like, I just turn off my read receipts and I block them and I ghost them and all. And I'm like, what? Like, that's not
Yeah.
how we ended friendships or, did things. And that's when we've had many conversations in the last few weeks about this. You don't
That's
just
so
ghost
good.
someone, you have communication. Like, how do you communicate, your
Right.
feelings and all that? And so
Oh,
that's a
that's
big
so
one for
good.
us right now.
That's so huge. It really is. And yeah, there's just so many things that it's like, how do we even know what our kids need to know? Such a great list that you guys can go and check out. So we will put links in the show notes for all of our awesomes of the week. Of course, we want to hear what's awesome in your life. So come and find us on social media at Sorta Awesome Show on Instagram or the Sorta Awesome Hangout on Facebook. We would love to hear what's awesome for you. We're going to get to this list of 10 questions that Kathryn has prepared when we come right back. Okay, we are back. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm feeling a little squirmy. Although, as we've started talking, Kathryn, I admit I've shook it out a little bit, feeling a little more relaxed. You have 10 questions that you just sat down and just brainstormed it all out onto paper
Yes.
to ask me. Good old fashioned pen and paper list. I guess we should just dive right in.
Yeah. Okay. My first one is, and I might have to explain this and explain what mine is.
Okay.
But what dream call are you waiting for?
Oh.
So mine right now is, I'm just waiting for Taylor Swift to call me to be her backup dancer. And I don't understand why I haven't received the call yet, but I really feel like she should be calling me. And that's like a dream call, Obviously, Oprah calling me would be great too. But just like, what is a dream call that you're like, I'm waiting for?
Okay, so obviously, I think we can both say anything that we pick up the phone and Taylor's on the other line.
Right,
Like,
right.
she could be asking me to be her permanent cat sitter, and I'd be like, the answer is yes. Say no more. I'm there.
Yeah.
So, having said that, a dream call for me, I know this is kind of so silly, but this has been like a sort of like daydream of mine for many years. So a dream call would be like somebody, a producer of a radio show calling and being like, we've got this radio show. It's on this station. You are the person. We want you to come and host it. I love the idea as much as it's so funny. I'm such a contradiction because I love podcasts because editing exists. And so if you make a mistake, you can go back and fix things or whatever. But I also love the idea of being live and talking to people and like running a show and interacting with people live in the moment. I think would be so fun. So that would be my dream call. A radio producer from some radio station offering me a
See,
job.
and this is exactly why I came up with these questions, because I feel, you do so many wonderful podcasts, but we want to get to know you. And sometimes, well, through whenever you used to do your blog, there was a lot that you would talk about yourself. And I feel like we don't really get as much about you. And that's why, as your best friend, I was like, the people want to know more about you. So
what you're saying is I've been very effective at putting up my Enneagram 9 force field around myself where I can just deflect things back to other people and keep all of my secrets to myself until this moment. Okay, what's the next question?
Okay.
Yes.
The next question is, what do you consider yourself an expert in?
I do think, speaking of being an Enneagram 9, I do think I'm an expert diplomat. I can, even if it's refereeing fights amongst my kids, or if I'm looking at some kind of situation where communication needs to happen, especially if it doesn't involve me directly having to confront someone.
Exactly, because that's like your 9.
Yeah, exactly. But when your child was going through the thing with the relationship thing, we were talking back and forth and bouncing ideas off of what do we say kind of situation. I do think I am an expert at hearing all of the perspectives in any given situation, even the not tense ones, even if it's, I say being a diplomat, but I think even in situations that are not necessarily like high stakes or tense, but I can hear what everybody's saying and I just can kind of intuit, here's how to communicate this information to these different parties, if that makes sense. That. And I do think it's very related to having this 9 mindset that can't help but to see everybody's perspectives all the time.
And I also believe that's why the Hangout is such an amazing community, because
Oh,
you have set the perimeters of what it needs to be and how it's a safe place. And I love that people can come in now and ask questions anonymously. I love that part.
yeah.
And I mean, people ask, real questions, real
Real life.
questions.
Yes.
But
Mhm.
also, it's not the kind of community where there's going to be like all of this cattiness and just rude
Right.
comments. It's not that. It's just so much like encouragement and love. And you have made that and provided that. And so
Thank
that
you.
shows why you're the expert.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I also do think, kind of related to that, that I don't know if I would say expert, but I do think I'm really good at creating community and nurturing community. And I don't even know how to say like why I'm good at that, but it is something that I just sort of keep doing over time. So there's that too.
I love it.
That's really hard. That's a hard question, okay? To answer, what do you think you're an expert in? What do you think you're an expert in?
Well, I thought that you were going to say just the Enneagram.
Oh
I don't
gosh.
know.
Oh, I'm hardly
No,
expert in that.
spoken. You have been paid to speak about it.
Yeah, I know, but there's other people that are
Right. I'm not saying
definitely expert
I'm not
level.
saying like you have a master's and it's just what do you feel like you could talk about all day long and you're an
Yeah.
expert in. I would say something, and I know I've already told you this before, but with my daughter having both pandas and
Mhm.
pans, which pandas is pediatric, well, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but it's where your brain is on fire
Mm.
because it has, with pandas, it's because your child got strep and
Mhm.
their brain is inflamed. With pans, it can be any virus, which she had mycoplasma pneumonia,
Yeah.
and it inflames the brain. And overnight, your child looks like a
Mhm.
different person.
Yes.
And this happened in first grade for her, and she
Mhm.
is now in going into ninth grade, and she is doing wonderful. We got the help right when we needed it, but I feel like I had to deep dive
Oh,
into
yes.
learning so much about it that I feel like
You are
I
a
could be
huge
an
pandas and
expert.
pans expert. Yes.
So, I mean, I have people reaching out to me all the time. I have this friend, can I connect you with them? They have questions. I'm like, sure. So, I think that would be mine. It's not
Yes,
something I wanted
absolutely.
to be.
Nobody wants to be, but
Yeah.
you are.
But
And you're a great advocate both for your daughter, obviously, but also for that community of parents and families that have been affected by it.
yes.
So,
And overnight, your child can all of a sudden have anxiety, separation anxiety. Like my child, like when she was born, she was like, goodbye, mom. Like she didn't need me. And then all of a sudden,
mhm.
overnight, she had verbal tics. She had,
Mhm.
what's the OCD? I couldn't think of that word.
Oh, yes.
She wouldn't go to school. Like, it was just a whole thing. So,
Yeah.
anyway, I just want you to know that if you don't know about PANS and you ever see yourself with knowing or hearing of a child that changes overnight, it is something that you need to really look into. And I'm so grateful for one of my friends that knew about it. And that weekend, I told her what was going on, and she was like, I'm not telling you this is what it is, but just look into this. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful because there are people that go years without even knowing about it.
Yes. That's so
So yeah,
right. Yeah.
that would be mine.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, the next one is, what does a perfect day look like for you?
Okay. This is hard.
Because you're going to be like, is this with my family home?
I
Or, which your
know.
family's always home mostly. So, but
There's always
yes, we'll say a weekend, maybe.
okay. All right. I mean, our family has a ton of togetherness time because my husband Kyla and I both work from home and we homeschool three of our kids. And so, yes, I do think over the course of a weekend, perfectly spent, there would be a combination of maybe I like wake up in a hotel by myself or an Airbnb and I have just some true, actual alone decompression time, not worrying about anybody needing me for just a few hours would be so great. I am wildly extroverted, as are you. But I do still like to be alone. Like extroverts do sometimes want a hot minute to just be by themselves. So yeah, I think it would start out in a space where things were taken care of for me instead of me taking care of everything. Some time by myself to read or watch movies or just do something completely alone. And then I do think, I know this sounds so cheesy, but truly some of the highlights of my days, my weeks, are being on microphone with somebody. It is my favorite thing. It is the thing that has really sustained Sorta Awesome for 8 years, is the fact that I just love being on microphone with people. I love seeing faces and recording and talking and all of that goes into it. So I would, even though it's work, I would put that into the schedule somehow, some way, to be on mic with someone. And even though I, might want to start out the day by myself, I definitely think just like relaxed time with family would be fun. Maybe a little family movie situation. I love to watch movies with the kids, especially movies from like our childhoods that they experience for the first time, and to just hear their reactions. When Daisy and I watched Clueless together.
Oh, I love it.
I know, right? Isn't it the most precious movie? She thought it was so creepy that Cher and what's Paul Rudd's character's name in that movie? I can't remember. The stepbrother.
I have a Paul Rudd story.
Yes. Wait, what? You have a Paul Rudd story?
You don't know my Paul Rudd story?
Do I? Now you have to tell me.
That is totally next, but tell me what you're going to say.
Wait, is it a story in the vault? Is it available for public consumption?
It's available. It's totally available. Like, he might be reaching out to me. Just kidding.
Okay, whatever. I cannot remember his character's name. It is escaping me right now.
But
when she watched it, and he's not actively her stepbrother, but he was her stepbrother.
Right. Okay,
she was like, that is so gross, Mom. I just don't even understand why you love this movie. So it's so fun to see our kids' reactions to things that were important to us when we were kids. And then probably I would love to cap off the evening with just like a girls' night of either going out to eat or just meeting for dessert or a glass of wine or something to connect with friends. I love when,
Oh, I was just going to say, sitting like on your back porch with just our husbands and you and I together, like that was just like the best night. That was, that's been a few months, but that kind of, I love that.
I do too. So sitting and visiting with people somehow, some way. I love when my friend groups cross over and everyone's together and they're talking, and I just love to see people just making those connections and stuff. So yeah, it would be a blend of alone time and peopling. Nothing exciting, honestly, comes to mind. That's probably really boring. People are like, wow. So
no, but are you going to make that happen where you get to go like somewhere and be alone? I know you did for Taylor, the Airbnb, but I think alone.
I wasn't by myself, though.
I know, you were not. That's what I'm saying. You need to do something alone.
Yes.
Your birthday's coming up. So
it is coming up next month. Tell me your Paul Rudd story. What's happening?
Like, I have to tell this. I have a friend that's still like any article about Paul Rudd, which we haven't talked in years, but he'll just send me these articles because he laughs about it. Okay. So I met my husband when I was 24 and also engaged same year. It was all pretty fast. But I told him, which I wasn't really like this. I don't really feel like my personality is totally like this, but I just told him one day, I was like, and this was before, you got to understand, this is 21 years ago. Paul Rudd was not the Paul Rudd that he is now.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And I told my husband, I was like, I am in love with Paul Rudd. I know I'm in love with you, but like celebrity wise,
yes,
I am in love with Paul Rudd. And when you look back, he's pretty dorky and stuff, compared to, but people now know him, and people did not even know who he was. I don't think
except for maybe like Clueless, literally.
Except for Clueless, but people didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
But I was like, I am in love with him. Okay. So he just thought that was funny. We always joked about it. And he would be like, well, but if Paul Rudd was here, then, you'd want to be with him. I'd like, yeah. Okay. So fast forward. I don't know where we're going on our honeymoon. It was a surprise to me, but then he wanted to be a total surprise. But a month before our wedding, I find this folder on in his house. And not that I'm looking, that sounds like I'm looking. It was just on the bed in our guest bedroom.
Okay.
And I'm moving in stuff, okay?
Yeah.
We weren't living together yet, but I'm just moving in stuff. And it said Kauai. I literally had never heard of Kauai. I'm not kidding. So he's great. Now you know. And I was like, now I know what? And he's that we're going to Hawaii. I'm like, what?
Were you like, is Kauai the same as Hawaii?
I was like, what is Kauai? And he's Hawaii. And I was like, we're going to Hawaii. Because I literally thought we would go to Lake Texoma, which is like a lake here in Oklahoma / Texas, because we didn't have the money. And so I am in shock. But the reason why he was an engineer, now he's a realtor, turned realtor, but he traveled so much that he had all these free miles. So that's how we had to go.
Oh, yeah.
Everything was free. So, but I didn't know about all these miles and everything. So anyway, all that to say, we're in Hawaii on this boat. It's a catamaran. Is that what it's called? We're on this
catamaran
boat.
Is a boat.
Now, do you remember the story, though?
I do remember this story now, yes.
And I look over and Paul Rudd is on the boat with us. And I am just, I can't tell you, like my mouth couldn't have fallen more to the floor. And he's with his girlfriend. I think, where is it, his girlfriend at the time? I don't know, but he's with a woman and they're laying on like the front. And I get it. I have a picture. Because I was like, no one's going to believe this. I was like, Paul Rudd was on my honeymoon. Like he was with us on our honeymoon. Yes. And it's just the craziest story because out of all people, I mean, like now people know who Paul Rudd is, but no one even knew who I was talking about. Then I'm like, and he's on. And no one was even going up to him. That's what I'm saying. No one knew who he was really.
Yes.
Except for me and Clueless. And so, sorry, that was a long story.
No, you like manifested Paul Rudd to your honeymoon.
I'm like, man, I should have manifested
you
like Oprah or
him.
Something. Yes. I didn't even know I was going to Hawaii, you know?
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. Okay, let's do a few more questions before we break for our sponsor today.
Okay, so my next one is, I know that you struggled with postpartum depression after the twins were born. What are some signs that we can be looking for family or friends to know how to direct them? Because I know you didn't think that you had it. You know, we all knew that there was some stuff going on with you. We could all like sense it and feel it. But I know it was also like not like something, it's hard to bring up to someone. I'm not saying I knew exactly that's what you were going through, but like I knew there was something. But like, how do you approach it? And what are some signs? There's a huge difference between obviously baby blues and postpartum depression. I had baby blues. Yes. I would just be like, I remember I was like eating some chili that a friend brought me and I was like crying into the chili and I was like, I don't know why I'm crying, you know? And it was just like, I would just be crying for no reason. Now that's different than what you had. So tell us more.
So years ago, and I'm going to dig up a link to put it in the show notes. Years ago, we did a whole episode. Awesome Katie Pace and I talked about our postpartum depression experiences. We brought in some expert voices because this is so important to me. My biggest sign and symptom of postpartum depression was not something I ever associated with postpartum depression. And that was anger to the level of being absolute rage. And I think that's really hard to talk about as women, as mothers.
Yes.
When you say it out loud, you sound like, even now when I'm saying it 10 years later, the twins are 10 now, a decade later, I still feel uncomfortable saying it because if you say I'm a person I'm having a lot of problems with rage, you think they're going to take my kids away. This is unsafe. And there were times when I did feel like I was unsafe. And the weird thing too was like, I thought postpartum depression was like you were too sad to take care of your baby or babies in my case. And I did not experience, and postpartum depression, any mental health condition can look so many different ways. So I would never sit here and be like, this is everything you need to look for. But to me, I thought, well, I'm breastfeeding twins. I'm, baby wearing them. I'm getting us up. I'm taking showers. I'm washing my hair. I'm like doing all of these things. I can't be depressed, but I have these uncontrollable fits of just being so rage-filled anger. And it very rarely had to do with the twins themselves. It would be other things were happening that I would just be so out of control angry. And it was really scary, but I didn't know what was happening. I thought at the time that I was like going through some kind of grieving process because I was like grieving a lot of practices from how I parented my daughters. But no, it was really, truly postpartum depression. I also had some postpartum anxiety, which I did not realize at the time was postpartum anxiety, but I became fixated on the idea that someone was going to break into our house and kidnap one of my daughters, which now I say, I'm like, that sounds cuckoo. And believe me, it felt cuckoo at the time, but I could not, I would have this fear. Every single night when I was going to sleep, I would almost not be able to fall asleep because I was just sure that somebody was going to break into our house, like Elizabeth Smart style, and
Well,
kidnap
that's
one of
what
our daughters.
I think that's what we grew up with, and so we do think I did too. I mean, not to your extreme, but
yeah,
I know what you're saying.
And so, yeah, just like that fixation on it, I just could not get it out of my mind. I would wake up first thing in the morning, like almost like in the morning, and wake up like that and run to their room across the hall to make sure they were both still in their room. Like it just took over my life. So those are some ways, like I feel like baby blues is a normal hormonal shift that happens. And you should talk to your own healthcare provider about what is a normal length of time for that. But I'm telling you that it was like 6 months in, and I was having these things happening and going on and never connecting because I had 2 children that I didn't have postpartum depression with at all. I had completely normal postpartum experiences with it. And I would say that too, that every birth is different and every recovery, every postpartum time is different. So don't think that just because you had 2 totally normal postpartum experiences, that means that you can never have postpartum depression, and vice versa. I do think if you've had it in the past, I had it a little bit after Nico, but after Nico was born, I knew what to look for. So I started getting treatment in advance. So that makes a difference too. So that's my big thing. If you're having symptoms, if things are happening in your life, if you're feeling like I am not myself, then talk to your care provider, because I promise, either they will listen to you or you find somebody who can advocate alongside you and find somebody who will listen. But most postpartum care providers are extremely sensitive. They have a screening test. They're sensitive to the symptoms that are happening, and they want to get you help. And the sooner you can get some help, the quicker you can feel like yourself again.
And also, I mean, I would just say what you said anyway, just in any mental health, not even postpartum, if you're feeling different, like you are totally not a person of anger or rage. That is never a word.
I'm a 9. I repress it.
I know.
I've never been angry a day in my life.
Not a word I would put for you. When I went through therapy, my therapist was like trying to get me to go through anger, because I'm not like that either. She was like, you've got to get angry about this. I'm like, how? I don't know how. But if you're feeling any different than what you've ever known, and it feels different, and it feels like you can't say it out loud, I think that's definitely a wake-up call and something, to look into and to ask about, and not feel anything weird about asking or nervous about asking, because the more, like you said, you were on top of it with Nico, and just the more you can be on top of your own mental health, it's so wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. All right, let's do one more for right now.
Okay. What is one of your biggest accomplishments?
Oh, well, besides...
We're not going to say Sorta Awesome.
Well, we're not. I was going to say maybe besides
Sorta Awesome.
Okay. Well, I do consider keeping Sorta Awesome running for 8 years a huge accomplishment.
It is.
When I very first started, I was coming off of closing my blog, which I had for 8 years. Oh, I never realized the symmetry of that until just now. But I had gotten more and more sporadic and more flaky. I felt like that flaky is a word I used to label myself as a lot. I really had this narrative, this story I told myself that I was a flaky person, that I was unreliable, that I couldn't be counted on for consistency. And so even when we just had been doing Sorta Awesome for 6 months, I was like, whoa, we're like really doing this every single Friday for a year. And then it's kept going and going. So that is a huge accomplishment for me in terms of I don't tell myself those stories anymore. That's not part of my narrative that I'm, inconsistent or whatever.
Okay, so tell me more about what you're saying with being flaky because you weren't consistent with the blog, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I felt like that was one thing that I was inconsistent with, but I would just look at my life. I would look at projects that I had started and never finished. I would look at my still to this day very scattered approach to communication with like friends and keeping up with people and making plans and those types of things. And I just would feel like I'm just a flaky person, but I don't think that
You're
about
not
myself
that
anymore.
at all.
So I can still be a little flaky with communication. I will say that. A little hit and miss on communication. But oh my gosh, biggest accomplishment, I would say probably family life in terms of bringing 5 humans into this world, nurturing them through their various stages, needs, all of that we do on the daily, to be able to do that consistently for 18 years is feeling like a pretty big accomplishment too.
And one of my questions kind of that is going into what you're saying is I feel like you are so good at meeting your kids where they are. I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I'm like not almost done with kids, but like mine they're both about to be in high school. Like they're going away. You have a child that's about to be 4, is your youngest. You literally still have it so spread out. And sometimes it's hard to even remember that you still have like little kids, and you're like laughing. You're like, I remember it. But I mean, I'm just saying you don't
remember it every single day.
Yes, but you don't act like it. You don't like I would say that, but you do meet your kids where they are at. And so I was going to say, this is kind of like one of the questions, but what is one way that you connect with your teenagers that you think you do a good job? And then also maybe with the twins and then with Nico.
Okay.
And then
let's
Kyle.
Just go right into it. Well, Kyle and I, that's the easiest in terms of we're both adults and we're not having to parent each other, So we do sit down every day at around 2 p.m. and just debrief and discuss. We call it our debrief time. And we talk about what our workday was like, what's going on with the kids, schedule stuff. Sometimes we'll even talk about current events, news headlines, blah, blah.
We do fight have that. Much?
Do Kyle and I fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we do.
Is it usually about the kids or money?
Yes.
Or what is it usually about?
No, it's, I would say 99% about the kids. We do fight. And I think that that's been a recent thing in our marriage as I have I've released some unhealthy patterns of behavior in my life about not speaking up, about not ever showing anger. Like literally, it's been unhealthy how much I know this about how, little I've allowed myself to be angry. So as I've really given myself permission to like really speak up for myself, it does cause more tension in the moment, but in a lot of ways that has created a lot of growth in our marriage. Is actually having fights has allowed us to work through some stuff. So that's that daily communication. That's just, unless one of us is gone, it's a standing appointment. So there's that. With Nico, it's pretty easy. Like he's up in my business all the time.
He's your errand buddy. Like he came over to my house
errand
yesterday.
buddy. Yes, yeah. He was running errands with me yesterday. Nico and I are both Geminis. We're both very extroverted. He's up in my business. We're just like, I don't know. We have a very special connection. I feel like we get each other on a lot of levels. The twins, as they have gotten older, now they're 10, it's been more of a struggle. I would say all 10 years with them because they are into things that I am not interested in at all. Whether it was the Marvel universe or Lego or Minecraft, and it's all of these different things. They're super into Roblox. Like everyone in my house is a gamer except for me and Nico. And I'm sure Nico will be at some point. But one fun thing is the twins love to watch movies, and they really think that 80s and 90s movies are so fun. So we have really found a connection point watching movies and talking, and they love, love, love to ask me, especially JK. He's very interested in what I was into when I was a kid. So he'll ask me about those things, and we'll talk, and we'll look up like old things on YouTube or whatever that I can show him. And so that's been really fun. As they've gotten older, and their awareness of like pop culture has kind of expanded, that's been a good connection point for me with the twins, especially now. Kyle connects with them so easily about gaming stuff. Kyle loves video games and did when he was a kid. And so, oh my gosh, the twins are super into Nintendo stuff right now, which is what our generation kind of grew up playing. And so they ask him like tons of questions about Nintendo games and this and that and speed running Super Mario Brothers. They just,
you can kind of like sneak out of the room, just be like,
so I just like quietly get up and just like shuffle quietly out of the room. Yes. Okay. With the girls and with teenagers in general, even though I just alluded to how hard it can be when it's kids who get into a thing and you just don't care about it, with teens, I feel like as they become more mature and can have more high level conversations about the things they're into, I am telling you over and over, just even if you're like not that super interested in it, just sit with them while they do a thing or experience a thing. So like watching movies, watching YouTube videos, saying yes to things that you really are okay with, like lower stake things. For example, AJ loves to change the color of her hair. When I was growing up, my mom did not allow me to color my hair, even just like a normal color at home. She was like, no, this is not for kids to do. And I had this thing in my mind, like kids should not be coloring their hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once I finally let go of that, and I was like, kids everywhere. And I go pick her up at school, like all the kids have different colored hair. I just had to like let go of that. And so we color her hair together. I'm always like, if this gets messed up, don't get mad at me. I'm not a colorist. But she loves it. It's like this bonding time for us when we're doing all these crazy things with her hair.
She's always loved that with you, and makeup and stuff.
Yes, all of that stuff. Same with Daisy. Daisy's she's very introverted and a little bit more private. And so it's kind of harder to draw her out. But music is another thing. Like I've gotten so many great music recommendations from the girls that I wouldn't have sought out on my own, but I'll just be like, what are you listening to these days? And they'll tell me and I'll go check it out, and we bond over. AJ's a huge Frank Ocean fan. I had never really been into his music, but she gave me some starter songs, and we'll talk about Frank Ocean lyrics together. Like, I think just allowing yourself to be open to learning new things through your kids and alongside them goes a long way. Just showing that you care about what they're into can really be a great place of connection with older kids, even though they like to spend most of their time in their room.
Yes.
Doing their own thing. If you can just grab onto a little thing, and that's normal. Yeah.
Yes. And it's hard. Like my kids sometimes want to talk at night, and I am like not a good person to talk to after 8 p.m. I'm just like, I'm more of a morning person. So I would like to talk to you or, any time of the day, but it's hard. So I have to like really push myself. And I remember when my son was little and he would talk to me about Pokemon, and it was like he was speaking a different language. I was like, I have no idea, but I would sit there and he would show me the cards and he would talk about them. And I would sometimes be planning what I was going to be making for dinner that week because I really couldn't understand it, and literally but I wanted to still be, asking questions. I mean, I totally did listen enough where I could ask him questions about it.
Right.
But he just loved it. He loved telling me about it, even though I had no idea what was going on. And I think you're so good at that. And another thing I was going to say that I really think that you're good at is, like you have the planned date with AJ where you guys, get together on the weekend on Friday nights and just go drive around and talk. And like, you really are so good at meeting them where they are.
Thank you for saying that. That has been such a great ritual for us to look forward to our Friday night drives. She loves to go downtown. She's like such a city girl. And we'll
Yes.
just drive around and listen to music and talk. And I find that those times when it's just me and her, she's like a really, she's a middle child of 5 kids. She has a really strong resistance to talking to me when we're going to get interrupted. She doesn't
Right.
like that. And so when it's just her and I in the car, she has my full attention. I mean, I'm driving, but we're just talking. And she has like really unpacked a lot of things that I don't know when she would have shared with me. So I
Mm.
think, Jen Hoffman was on the show recently and she talked about the importance of planning that alone time, especially, I don't care how many kids you have. Life is busy. If you have 1 kid, if you have 8 kids, life is busy. So planning that intentional time, even if it's, you don't have to spend money. If it's going on a drive for,
Right.
half an hour, get a Sonic drink and go drive around town a little and talk. Just something that can show them like, I am here, like we're in this together, I think goes a long way.
And I think it's
So,
hard, I think the driving is so wonderful. And so now that my son drives, I'll be like, oh my
yeah.
goodness, now he's going to take himself to school and I'm going to miss out on these wonderful
Yes.
conversations. And, now he's taking
Yeah.
himself to get his hair cut. And that was like our thing. Like I would take him and
Yes.
we would talk to the guy that cut his hair. And so I'm having to kind of push myself a little bit more and try to find, hey, do you want to go with me to go get, I'll fill up your gas if I can ride with you to Sam's or something.
Oh,
And so we
yeah.
have to think of different ways to do it. And that has been hard because that's new. He just turned 16 in
Right.
November. And I'm really having to find ways to connect with him more because it used to be so perfect that we had that time in the car and that is taken away
Yes.
from us. So
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's take a little break. Kathryn has even more questions for me when we come right back. Okay, we are back, and today my best friend Kathryn is asking me all kinds of questions. Kathryn, this has been so much less painful than I thought, but I know you do have some more serious ones for our superstars, so maybe I shouldn't speak too soon. But you said you have a few more that are just kind of like quick, just like kind of off the
yes.
cuff ones. Let's hear them.
Okay, what's one thing that you love deep diving into on TikTok or the internet that you haven't ever talked about? Like it could be like pimple popping and no one knows, but you like it. I know you talked about
No.
art, the AD. You were saying, what's it called, Architectural Digest,
Oh, yeah.
and that you
I
were
love
like,
those.
that's not even something that you thought that you would love, but then you like went into
Yeah.
this deep dive. What's something that you can tell us that we don't know?
Can I
I'm
just tell you that I feel like in this day
scared.
and age, well, my favorite thing to deep dive is not a really super popular topic, but I feel like in this day and age, you could know everything you need to know about a person if you were just like, give me your phone, I'm opening your TikTok, what comes up on your FYP. I would be more protective of that. I'm like holding my
To say
phone.
I need to
Please.
erase all of your history.
I would be more protective of that than a lot of my
Maybe this
text
should have been the
conversations.
superstars question.
Maybe so. My TikTok is mostly about romance novels. I'm trying to think of like
I
what
know
else
something
because
we don't know.
yeah. Okay, so everyone knows that I am very into Taylor Swift and as you know, like 95% of my TikTok feed is Taylor Swift, but something that is not popular but I am like obsessed with is like queer readings of Taylor's lyrics
You got
that
me
kind of
started.
I know that fit into this sort of like Gaylor Swift umbrella of interacting with her life and her work and her music. Like the deep dive possibilities are unending there. I will say that I genuinely have. At first I was, oh yeah, she writes good lyrics. That's why people, really have respected her over time. But now that I've listened to so much of her discography, the way that she embeds callbacks in current lyrics back to other songs, and like you see the same motifs and themes, like it has reignited my inner English major to where I almost can't just listen to a song as just this is a great bop. I'm like thinking about the lyrics, not only applying them to her life, which is a whole subset of being a Taylor fan in general, but also looking at how her songs and lyrics and topics have evolved over time. And like I said, these different callbacks to different songs and different albums. And somebody on TikTok gave this analogy that for Taylor fans like us, I feel like, that are the deep divers, this is as a comparable comparison to be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where you've got the original comics, you've got the movies, you've got the, spin-off shows, and it all fits together. And there's so much you can explore if you want to be all in on the Marvel universe. I feel like that's how it is in Swiftianity. You can either just listen to the songs and be like, this is a great song, or you can go all the way into all of the analysis and stuff. And so I've recently been interested in the queer like interpretations of her lyrics, but that's just one subset of ways that you can do like a literary critique of Taylor Swift lyrics. So
she's literally a mastermind.
She's
I lost you on video.
Oh, okay. I think it'll still be okay because it's recording on mine. So
okay.
All right.
So you can see
what
me?
else? Yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. So my next thing is, I wanted to tell mine. Okay.
Oh.
This one, people would be like, oh, there you are. People would be like, this is strange, but it is something I actually love. I love watching birthing videos.
What? Okay. Yes. I didn't know that.
Live
This is the
births.
first I've heard of this.
Yes.
Live
births, home births, hospital births, all the things. And my kids, like, I've had to explain to them because they will walk by and hear women screaming.
Oh my God.
And so I just love it because in another life, I would love to be like a midwife or lactation specialist. Like,
you would have been a great doula for sure.
Yes. So
Enneagram 2, ESFJ, like you would have been an amazing doula or midwife or somewhere.
I think that I could deliver a baby just from as much as I've watched.
Watched it.
Not kidding.
When you say live, do you mean like people are going onto social media and live streaming births?
No,
or you're just like watching a recording? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if they have that, tune me in. I would love it. Yes.
It won't come up on my feed, that's for sure.
Yes. No, but I am just all about that. Okay. What is one thing you think that the Awesomes don't know about you?
Gosh.
And that was actually one of mine, is that I am like watch birthing videos like a crazy person.
Yeah. What do the Awesomes not know about me? I don't know, Kathryn. I've been doing this so long. I feel like I have
But there could be something new about you. It doesn't have to be a secret.
Literally. I know. I'm not even thinking of secret stuff. I'm like, what have I not talked about? I don't know. Can you think of anything that you know about me that I
do feel like you've told most things, but I was just wondering if there was anything that people wouldn't know about you.
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think people would know, like, I'm like really open-minded and accepting about all different, belief systems, viewpoints? I think people know that I'm pretty accepting of things, but I probably am the most open-minded person.
And that's why you and I click so well.
Yes. You're also very open-minded. I will start conversations with you being like, you are going to think this is banana pants crazy, but I need to tell you this. And you're like, oh yeah. You don't even miss a beat. You're just like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. Because I've already been thinking about it or something.
I honestly am very serious when I say I really can't think of anything right now that people would be surprised about.
I think one thing that I could think of is that you do not, and I've told you this before, but you don't see yourself as like someone that someone else would be excited to see. When people have noticed you like in a store or something like that, you're like, why would they think that was cool? And I'm like, I mean, it's hard for me because I've known you for however many years. I can't remember how old you are when you're in middle school, but
7th grade.
Grade. So like but I can imagine what it's like because I, listen to podcasts or my thoughts on, it feels like, and people think that they feel like they know you. And I am like that with people to the point that, like, if I see them in person, I'm like, I already know them. And I remember even just like when you and I weren't as close, but I would read your blog, and like sometimes you wouldn't even tell me these like huge things, and I'd read them on your blog, and I'm like, I didn't even know this big thing. I mean, most of the things I knew, but I'm just saying, like, something would happen and I'd be like, I didn't even know that happened, but I read it on your blog, you know?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that doesn't really happen at all now because I know before other people do, but you know what I'm saying? But I think that people know you and they respect you so much, but you don't think that you're like this person that people would look up to or be excited to meet.
Nope. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah. And I just think that's funny, and I've always told you that. So I think that's one thing.
Do you think that's a 9 thing? 9s are, you know, sort of notoriously don't really believe their presence matters, like in the world, just as a matter of fact. And so do you think that's sort of like just my...
Because a lot of people that are close to me are 9s, and they're all like that. And they're like so amazing. And I'll be like, it's like, I feel like I have to pull out that, like, how awesome they are at something or whatever. And like and I'm not saying you're not confident, because you are, but you'd be like, why would that person be like excited to come up to me in Walmart? That's so weird. And I'm like, because they saw you and, you know, recognized you.
And it's so funny because, like, I listen to podcasts. I know that there are podcast hosts. If I ran into them in the wild, I would freak out. Yes. Right. So I understand the experience of it.
Yeah. But I've kind of like had to explain it to you because early on, I would say.
Yeah. I do think it's partly because I do love to do this and it feels so natural to me. Except for when I was teaching and being on microphone are the 2 things that in my life have felt the most natural to me. No effort, all vibes. I can just move into this space where it's just, this is the most normal thing for me to be doing. Yes. The only other time I've ever experienced that besides being on microphone is when I was teaching. And so I think that because of that, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal to make a podcast and to have done it for so long and have all these conversations and all of this stuff out there about me in the world. I mean, when I say that, it's just because it feels so natural to me. Like, I'm not trying to diminish the work that we do.
Because
it just
then you are excited. Like, you email me, you're like, I can't wait to talk to you and all this. And I'm like, I just saw you yesterday. But you were like, I can't wait to like talk to you on the microphone. And I'm like, I literally just saw you yesterday. But you are so passionate, like you said earlier, about being on the microphone. And so I think it just comes so natural that you don't feel like it's something that someone would be like excited to meet you. Exactly. Okay.
Exactly.
So my last question, right?
Oh, I thought that was the last one. Whew. Okay.
Oh, was it not? Okay.
No, it probably, we got one more.
This will be the last one, and it can be fast. What is one more big goal that you have for yourself? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be anything huge.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting that so much of when I'm like daydreaming about things, it's almost always about the work that I do in the world, which still is constantly a surprise to me. My biggest goal is I want to understand and learn how to and be a content creator on video. I mean, YouTube is the platform of choice right now, but that's the thing. I want to like sort of conquer that in the way that it's so comfortable and normal for me to be on the microphone, that I feel like this is the next sort of evolution of that. I don't want it to be so unnatural and uncomfortable for me. I want to get comfortable with it. I want to think about in terms of like, how do people experience video? We've been hearing for years that more and more people are like looking for video. They like it. That's what they want. And I think that the explosion of TikTok starting in 2020, I mean, it's already big with the kids, but for everybody I know, for the most part, either has TikTok on their device or at least knows how to watch a TikTok. You know what I mean? Even if they don't have it on their phone. Like, my goal is to be able to find my place and find ease and find comfort in being on video the way I have with being on microphone.
I love it.
So,
well,
yeah.
and my mom, 74 years old, she comes over and the kids laugh every time out loud when she says this, but she's, oh my goodness, on TikTok yesterday. She says TikTok. And it's always about how she heard or saw something about how you can like heal some kind of like foot fungus or something that like we have nothing.
Not the foot fungus.
Yeah, it's like always something, you know, or, you know, how to do better with your lawn or something. And then she's like telling us how to do it. But every time when she comes
TikTok.
over and says that, she's TikTok.
Yes.
I am learning so much on TikTok.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
You're right. Everybody.
Yes. Wow. This was really good and not nearly as scary as I thought. Although, yes, I am a little nervous about when we get these Patreon ones done, which we'll keep you guys updated so that if you are a superstar, you can go check it out. And if you want to become a superstar, we would love to have you at any time at patreon.com/sorta awesome. Kathryn, this has been so fun. I can't believe you just sat down and you were just like, beep, bop, boop. I have all of these questions.
Literally
Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you for putting this together. If people want to find you, first of all, on Instagram, if you are chatting, unless we tell you otherwise, if you're chatting with someone at Sorta Awesome, it's probably Kathryn. Where else can we find you if people want to chit chat with you?
Well, definitely I'm in the Hangout, but mostly I'm living on Instagram as the Sorta Awesome Instagram lady.
Okay, yes. And if people even want to talk to you about more serious stuff like pandas and pans, and
then you can find me on Instagram as Kathryn Kaplinger, KathrynCaplinger.
Okay, we will have links in the show notes for you guys to go find Kathryn. You know, you can find me on social media at Sorta Awesome Meg. You can find the show by searching Sorta Awesome wherever you are. As Kathryn mentioned, we are on YouTube. You can go over and find us on YouTube. We'll have links in the show notes for all of that stuff. Awesome. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see y'all next time.